Type in fitness, right?
Yeah.
All right, on it goes. Wow. Look at this, bro. I didn't even type in like motivation, just fitness.
Is that sustainable?
Well, I'm not sure if that's sustainable, but I'm realizing that so many of my fitness goals have been influenced by the images that I see on social media. Yet, the people I admire most in fitness are professional athletes. And there are a lot less of them in the world, and even more, many of them have been training since they've been in elementary school. Ever wonder what it takes to be a pro? Like, many of us grew up playing sports, right? But why are so few of us professional athletes? Take football, for instance. There are 1.1 million high school football players right now. About 850, that is 0.00075%, will actually make it pro. As one former athlete, Melvin Sanders, put it,
It's I always get a kick out of you see fans yelling at the players like, oh, this and that, this and that, this and that. It's like the 10th man on the bench is really, really, really good.
what tips can we learn from professional athletes that can help us sustain our performance and endurance over a long period of time to achieve our goals? To answer those questions, we broke bread with two professional athletes and one pro coach. First, there's Irasema Lynette. She's a gym owner, philanthropist, ultra runner, a coach for the Cambodia national running team, and a coach for the U.S. national deaf track team. Then Melvin Sanders, former pro basketball player for 11 years who now trains some of the top pro athletes and celebrities in the country at his gym, Sanders Fit in Dallas, Texas. And Justin Forsett, former NFL running back for 9 years and now co-owner of Hustle Clean, a self-care and hygiene product company that he founded with former teammates. This is part podcast, part storytelling, part breaking bread. This is At the Table. The theme of this is performance, and so I thought, why don't we make a Power Bowl? Because I can't think of a meal that is more cinematic of being able to go to like the next level than having something that is rich in protein, complex carbs, just a really powerful like altogether bowl. What's the difference between a pro athlete and a fitness enthusiast?
Professional athlete is something you do for a living.
Okay.
Right? This is something that you earn a living with. Enthusiast is just that. Like you enjoy fitness, you enjoy wellness, and it's something that you do along with your full-time job or part-time job, whatever that is.
There are like 1.1 million high schoolers playing football. 6.5% go and play in college. Just 1.2 go pro. The NCAA said that means you've got a 0.00075% chance of going pro of that 1.1 million high schoolers playing football. Likely the same odds that get struck by lightning.
I remember as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid thinking to myself, I understand that it's going to be hard, but I'm the exception. I'm the exception to the rule. And I remember that mindset, it carried me to where, you know, of course, I made it to the NFL, played 9 years, was Pro Bowl running back and all those things. Those numbers didn't scare me. And I think that's the difference between a lot of my peers. That was when my vehicle out of just like humble beginnings. Like at one point, we were living out of a motel, me and my parents. We didn't have a home. Like me and my two brothers, myself, we were living on the edge of town. And I was pretty good at sports by that point anyway. And I was like, this is how I'm going to provide for my family. This is how I'm going to change the trajectory of my future family. So my kids will never have to, you know, suffer or go through things that I went through. So that was that drive and that motivation. Like, okay, I'm going to do this because I was chasing something bigger than myself.
I have 5 degrees. I totally went to school for something not related in fitness, and I got my degrees knowing that I was going into a male-dominated career and I would need my degrees to basically back me up. So I go through all of that schooling. I got a couple of jobs that were like introductory to the field that I wanted to go into. And then my deafness was the one thing that closed that door. And I think that that's why we see so many athletes who do come from humble beginnings that just excel more than someone else would, because mentally they have the training from day one.
That's real.
I like that.
Did you feel that way?
I feel my mental toughness is what separated me. Every time I went through something, I never let it define me. It always refined me. It always added fuel to my fire. It always sharpened my skill set, my way of thinking, my perspective.
I want to talk about the need to be mentally tough, and what goes through your mind in those moments where you're not feeling as powerful.
I feel like to be fitness enthusiast, athlete, chef, I mean, just work regular everyday job, you got to have some form of mental toughness.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times going to be days that you don't want to do it. Like, I mean, I think my mindset may be a little different because, like, I have the hunger to be great, like, every day. And I compete against myself every day. I mean, I just like it, you know what I mean? I like that feeling of, you know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of times people get lost by competing with other people all the time, whether it's on social media, whether it's in everyday life, whether it's how somebody looks, what kind of car they drive, like what kind of house they live in. I tell people, like, you're going to drive yourself crazy doing that because you'll never know what that person's going through, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from a toughness standpoint, they could be miserable, right? You know what I'm saying? So I tell you, just like focus on you and do you every day. You'll be a lot happier in life. It's kind of it.
I love that. You compete against yourself.
Every day.
Can you teach mental toughness?
Yeah, you can. I mean, like I said with me,
Okay.
like, I just hate excuses, though.
You can tell he's already bothered by it. Like, I don't know, don't come to my gym week.
It's not like, I mean, I'm not like.
It's hard,
I'm
it's
not, yeah,
hard.
I'm not like hard, but I'm like, listen, like, you're here for a reason. You might hate you came, you know what I'm saying, when you walked in the door, but you're never going to hate that you came when you left. Kind of like the approach, but like, I take the same, like, mental mindset with regular everyday people as I do my athletes.
People don't necessarily realize that it is a daily practice to be mentally tough. It's a daily practice to not necessarily work through pain, whether that's literally or figuratively speaking, but to not run away from it. But the actual mental talk that happens is a daily practice that all of us have to do. And some people just obviously have more practice and are a little bit more equipped to do it, and others still are like just inching their way there.
Does it matter how you talk to yourself?
There are times when you get down, right? There's like when you face obstacles, like, man, am I good enough? And then when I hear that, it triggers me, like, because that's not of me. Like, that's not why I feel like I was created. Like, that negativity doesn't belong inside of me. It's not going to add anything to me. That worry or that doubt is not going to add anything to my situation. So that's a trigger. When I hear myself doing that, it's going like, okay, Justin, you know better than this. Like, so I'm always constantly trying to positively reinforce those affirmations.
In the track world, a lot of our good coaches are very antiquated in thinking. And so like a regrouping of what staff looks like for athletics is big. And I think that those type of reframings that start on the small level, you know, before they actually go pro, would make the difference. Is letting them know, you know, what happens if you have a life-ending injury, or not life-ending, or career-ending injury that affects the rest of your life as a pro athlete. You know, what are your options outside of that? What happens if you do make it pro and then you decide that you're not in the mindset to compete? You don't like it, you don't enjoy it, which does happen to a lot of athletes. You know, burnout is real.
Really?
And it's real for things other than just overtraining. It's real because mentally they thought they wanted that. And this happens to any average person. They think they want something, then they get there and they realize this is not for me. What happens when everything that they've invested was just for that one thing? And so I think it starts on the coaching level in middle schools and high schools, and reframing that for them to actually start looking at things for the future.
So to explore this more, I want to go talk to my brother who leads one of the largest youth sports organizations in the Metroplex. How do you react to this idea that there are about 1 million kids right now playing youth sports, playing football? About 800 of them, less than that, are probably going to make it pro.
Us personally as an organization, we don't use football as a tactic to say you're going to make it to the pro. We use football as a tool to build athletes, to build young men with character. Every hill that we run, it's a reason. Every bear crawl we do, it's a reason. You got to dig deep. Football may not be for everyone. That youth sports in general, and if it's done the right way, is a great tool to build character in our youth.
For me, I use sports to transition kids. Like you use a hypothetical analogy of 1 million kids. How many absentee fathers there though? How many don't have the family? How many don't have the support system? So when you get a kid that he's trying to find out who he is as a man, he has an extended family, he get an opportunity to get out and experience things that he normally wouldn't see if he didn't get out the element that he's in. And to transition that to an educational purpose. I mean, they pay millions of dollars for the world of sports and the profitability off of sports. At least they can get a free education. If I could help be the bridge to bridge them to a collegiate education, you can get fired from the NFL. You can't get fired from the degree.
So how are you passing the torch in other ways beyond sports, like the business side of this?
Just teaching, especially my oldest, to be more hands-on and learning, doing more, basically taking ownership. I teach them not so much about entrepreneurship, but just making sure what they want to do and they have passion doing it. That's my main focus. So we love what we do, but we know it's work as well.
I want to push the conversation more so to like fuel and training and the differences between just being like a fitness enthusiast and training and eating like a pro.
Most pro athletes don't eat good. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
they don't. You know what I mean? Like they'll say like they don't.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So I was on the opposite end of the spectrum. One, I'm 5'8". I was 198 pound running back, right? I was a 4.6 40. Like all the measurables said I shouldn't be an NFL running back.
Yeah.
One of my competitive advantages was my diet and the way I ate. Pilates, like taking care of your body, fuel that you put inside of your body. You're a Ferrari, so you're not gonna put in, just regular gas into a Ferrari, right? So I started to have that discipline as I continued because I had to keep on my weight.
Yeah.
I didn't want to drop down below a certain weight, so I wanted to make sure I was feeling good, able to move well. So I had to do the little things in order to maintain, especially for 9 years.
For some reason, every trainer out there thinks they're a nutritionist.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you're not a nutritionist. You're a personal trainer, health coach, or whatever. I mean, you know the difference between the two. I tell people, if you really want to get the maximum results, you probably need to go see somebody. I mean, get the proper testing done. I mean, see a dietitian, see a nutritionist, and kind of go from there.
Nutrition and diet is even more of an investment and challenge than pursuing sport or fitness. It's something that you're going to do more often throughout the day than just working out for 1 hour. It's something that's going to cost you more money in the long run. It's something that's going to affect you throughout the day more than just a workout. And so I always allow my people to first approach me, but usually it starts with like, do you think I'm eating well enough? I'm like, if you are asking that question, you know the answer. And so I usually tell them like, are you ready to commit? And then some of them say yeah, and some of them say no. And I say, okay, well, if you're not ready right now, like, don't talk to me about this until you're actually ready to talk about this.
So now that we heard from the pros, we wanted to hear from regular folks like me and you who are in the process of a wellness journey to underscore some of the points that the pros were talking about.
It all started when I got postpartum depression after my son.
Okay.
And I allowed myself to gain a lot of weight. I was 447 pounds at my biggest. And it's been a journey, for sure. I didn't want to get out of the house, and I couldn't even finish the warm-up. After the second workout, it took me another month to go back. But the point is that I kept going back. I enjoyed the feeling. I missed it. Because when I was younger, I was an athlete. To go from being athletic to going to being that heavy set, it was a culture shock and life, like, jarring. It's challenging. Sometimes you just got to sit down and rest and chill out. But other days, it's like, get up. You got to get up. You gotta go. Because, this workout is going to make you feel 1,000 times better. The endorphins are going to start pumping. You're going to feel so much better about yourself.
What would you tell day one Samantha?
Just keep going.
On day one?
On day one, just keep going. Because, it's the same model that I have for myself whenever I start races. Even the first foot across the start line, I always tell myself I'm almost finished. Me competing against myself, that every time I'm out there, I'm going to beat the last time I was out here.
I've been doing this for about 2 years. I was at about 240 pounds.
Holy smoke.
About almost 2 years ago. And right now I'm about 170 pounds. So I lost close to 70 pounds. And it took me almost a year and a half to get there. First I started with changing my diet.
Okay.
I just had these meal kits, right? Slowly, once I started to lose that weight, I started running. As long as you're making time, like getting up early in the morning, like 5:36, if you're dedicated enough, you just need to do it, right? Whenever you see people perform their best, there's a lot of work that goes into it, right? Like sometimes folks may not see. You need to have good habits.
Right.
Basically, it's how you form a habit.
Yeah.
And once you form that habit, it's sort of difficult to let go. And I think getting to form that habit is what I think takes time, in my opinion, at least.
If you want to be great at anything, it's going to cost you. There has to be some type of obsession with, I believe, with what you're chasing. It's cost me, like, hanging out, doing some of those other things. Like, I wasn't a guy, like, I didn't drink, wasn't partying and things like that, because it was a strong motivation and desire to make it out of my situation.
Yeah.
Strong.
That is
discipline, like, and commitment to, like, I was going to make it out by any means necessary, and I wasn't going to allow anything to stand in the way.
You have to decide what you want for your life. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that you don't always need support. You just need a decision, and that decision is what's going to carry you through. And either people will jump on and start supporting at the end of the day or not. That really is irrelevant to the grand scheme of things. Like, you have to be decisive in the way that you want to live your life and the outcomes that you want from it.
When I was in a huddle with Peyton Manning, he would give me three things. He would give me warning, he would give me encouragement, and he would give me instruction. That's not only applicable to a football field in a huddle, but also to our day-to-day lives, like when we're chasing something. I think we need people in our circle or in our huddle that adds value, that can push us, right? That can just cheer you on from the sideline, right? It's a nice to have, right? When you're trying to chase something like that, they can hold you accountable. Like, man, if they're eating dinner with you and you said, man, I want to lose 15 pounds, and you're talking about, man, should I get this peach cobbler and ice cream? It's like, the answer is no. Like, I was with you when you made this declaration for yourself. Like, you told me, like, you wanted more for yourself, so I'm gonna hold you accountable. Like, that's right. I think we need to find people that we can do life with in all facets, whether it's a diet or chasing dreams or goals and things like that. So I think that's helpful, and you need to find that group.
And I think that's what's, like, unique about the fitness community, whether it's athletics or enthusiasts, is that, if you join a gym, you're joining a community. So more than likely, you're automatically going to find people who are of like mind, of like goals.
11 years and 9 years as pro athletes. Is there anything that you would do differently?
I think I work harder. I mean, because it's always another level you can go to. Until you actually kind of like grow, you know what I'm saying, like immature or whatever, like your younger self doesn't really know how you actually need to work to, be better, be great. I mean, so if there was anything I could go back and do whatever, I'd tell myself just to go harder, to be better. That's what I would do.
Our value is more than what we do on a field or in an arena, right? We have more to give. And our careers, I retired at 32. I don't know when.
32.
Yeah, 32 years old. That's a long life to live.
It is.
In sport.
Yeah, it is.
So if I could go back, I would invest more in my future outside of the game. I went to Berkeley. I was in the heart of, like, Silicon Valley, right? And businesses are booming, right, around us. And I wish I had the mindset to think that, man, I could do that too. Like, I could do. Because right now I'm more busy now running a business than I ever was playing football.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. Greatness grows best in the shadows. And what I mean by that is we don't get our greatest gains when we're at the top of the mountain. We get our greatest gains in our life on our pursuit to the top. When we're constantly being stretched and pulled, and we have to dig deep within ourselves and pull out things that we didn't even know existed in order to get to the next level. Some of my greatest strife or trial, I had to pull out things in order to combat that, to overcome, that I didn't even know was in me. But it had to push myself to that point. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to push themselves to that point.
That's very real. Well, Justin, Melvin, Idasima, thank you so much. Cheers to performance.
Good water right here. Good water.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I hope that you have enjoyed this episode as much as we did making it, and feeling just a little bit more motivated to go and tackle those goals. So here are 3 takeaways for you. Number 1, train smarter, not necessarily harder. As you define your goals, train according to that, while keeping your body's physical condition in mind, so that way you can go harder much longer.
And number 2, continue setting realistic goals for yourself to keep you motivated in your wellness and your life journey. And don't get caught up in comparing yourself to others. It's only going to rob you of your joy and leave you feeling discouraged after it's all said and done. Remember, this is your race and your goals. It's you versus you out there.
Me competing against myself, that every time I'm out there, I'm gonna beat the last time I was out here.
And I compete against myself every day.
I love that. You compete against yourself.
Every day.
Yeah.
And once you form that habit, it's sort of difficult to let go.
A lot of people don't understand is that you don't always need support. You just need a decision.
If you want to be great at anything, it's going to cost you.
So make sure you are enjoying the journey along the way and taking breaks as you need them so you can keep that momentum going.
Number 3, Don't despise small beginnings because we all start somewhere. You know, a baobab seed is about the size of a walnut, but they grow into the most majestic trees on the face of the planet over time, just like us, so long as we stay committed to our goals. All right, that is it for today's episode. Remember, you can listen to the full sit-down interview wherever you choose to listen to a podcast at thetabletalks.com. And if you're new to the channel, what up? Don't forget to subscribe and remember to ring that bell, ding, 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 so you can be notified every time we post hot new content here on the Fit Man Cook channel. All right, y'all, go get after those goals. Peace. You ready for a walk? You ready? You not motivated yet to go for a walk, Max? Oh my gosh. You need to listen to the podcast all over again, man. I'm the only one.